A complicated flight, Denver to O'Hare to Zurich to Zagreb.
We just made some money exchange in the Zagreb airport for kuna dollars. This is the main airport in Croatia. Apparently they have a total of 13 planes in their air force, but we found a fellow that's going to pick us up and get us to our hotel. Kind of a rainy day, just like we left in Colorado. We're getting closer to downtown. The buildings are very strange, not very well done. We're coming up at our hotel. Soon from the Museum of Art. Lots of museums, lots of big buildings, lots of graffiti. Dinner at the Westin. Breakfast at the Westin. Very nice. This cemetery in Zagreb is unique. It's enormous. It contains the remains of all religions, which is unusual in Europe. Designed by Herman Bolle. Currently you can walk 15 minutes to one end of the cemetery in this direction and another 30 minutes in that direction and 45 minutes through the cemetery itself. It's fascinating. This goes on forever. It's Old Town Zagreb. That's the Parliament building. An amazingly large square in front of this church. Streets are very narrow here. Lots of tourists. Neckties were invented in Croatia, Zagreb. Small church. Very tall. The farmer's market. Very interesting. Good stuff. All kinds of honey. All kinds of meat. Olive oil. People. Bread. They're soon in front of the Marmara Museum.
We're passing through the interior of that museum at the moment. Apparently the gentleman for whom the museum is named collected several thousand art objects during his lifetime, and we assume also may have donated them to the city of Zagreb, who housed them in this very, very large building.
And here we have a pair of Velasquez. He handles light much better than most of the other artists we've seen. Renoir. Rubin. Glass art displays. More glass.
Just a quick comment about the city of Zagreb. We found it very interesting and not as all as portrayed by some of the travelers that described it as just a big, ugly industrial city. We enjoyed the visit there. Here we are wandering about in the most interesting museum we saw on the trip. It's called the Museum of Broken Relationships. Voted the most unique museum in all of Europe. It consists of a series of explanations regarding what caused the breakup of the relationship and a little object related to it too. It's up near the Parliament building on a kind of a side street and a little bit difficult to find, but we would highly recommend visiting this place. It's really fun. We had an outstanding meal at Carpaccio, a northern Italian restaurant in downtown Zagreb. While I can't recall the exact names of each dish, we had a good salad, followed by Sue's gnocchi and my crostini, and then we followed it up with a panicati for dessert.
foggy day when we're leaving Zagreb, passing through the Croatian rural landscape. We just passed through the town that was the end point of the Serbian-Croatian War, and it was pretty shot up, but most everything else seems to be repaired. It's just a little gloomy outside right now, and we're heading for the famous national park. I find it fascinating. We've passed through maybe an hour and a half of very agrarian landscape with cornfields and farms, and have not seen a single sign of an animal yet. Don't know what that's about.
We've just entered Plitvice National Park. It's famous in Croatia as our Yellowstone or Yosemite would be, and definitely a must-see.
Fish. I hope the camera picks them up. There seems to be a lot of trout in these lakes. Except they're not trout.
Nope, I was going to say.
Lots of little fish though. Sue has her raincoat on. Looking at more fish. Fortunately, we haven't seen a trout yet. Fun little fish though in these clear ponds. Limestone walls. Fascinating place. Tiny little pools. There's running water everywhere. And we look up at this. I mean, is that gorgeous or what? Amazing. Just amazing. Sea balances. Oh, it's great. Look at that. Oh, look at that. King of the mountain. Queen of the mountain. Carp rising. We love carp. And we have a trout or two down here too. We do have some trout. And a ducky looking for lunch. One of the small lakes. Absolutely full of fish. We love it.
Our trek through the park was fascinating. Actually, a few too many people for our taste, but that's what happens when you go to tourist areas.
We're on the same kind of boat. Ships passing in the daylight. This is us going the other direction. Could be Hanging Lake, but it's not. Descending. More waterfall. Traveling on the highway between Plitvice, the park, and Split right now, and every single one of these farmhouses has their own, like their orchard of plums, and they all make hooch, which is called slivovisk. It's plum brandy. The unusual thing that we see here compared to the States is there's all kinds of rolled up hay bales in these fields, but we have not seen a single herd of cattle. We did see a couple flocks of sheep, but you know, in the States these fields would just be chock-a-block with cattle. Here's a little more of beautiful downtown Split. Here we have the President Hotel room in Split. Nice little garden out back, patio, kind of a nice bathroom, and a bidet is included. Dinner is served.
The big attraction in Split is the remains of Emperor Diocletian's palace. He retired here and built a very large facility, a model of which will crop up later in this video. These little rooms around the area near the edge of the palace were formerly for only poor people would live because they didn't have gardens. Now they're all being bought up by the wealthy and converted to condos. That's the Adriatic you can see in the background here. Apparently the palace itself abutted the sea, and it was one of the main reasons commercialism thrived in the town of Split.
Bishop Begory insisted that Mass had to be in the Croatian language. Here's the Golden Gate of the entrance to Diocletian's palace. Okay, this is what Diocletian's palace looked like when it was in existence, incomplete. We're now in the basement of Diocletian's palace. Apparently it was made with lime, sandstone, and eggs as a binder. The cement or the concrete they used in securing the ceiling. We just hopped on the ferry. We're about to go to the Isle of Hawar. We're looking back at the town of Split. Very much like Kashidasi was in Turkey, at least along the waterfront, so very similar.
We're still on the ferry sailing from Split to the island of Hvar. It's interesting that of the 15 or so hundred islands that exist in the Adriatic that belong to Croatia, apparently only a limited number of them are occupied. Water is very difficult to find on these islands. Now we're passing through some terraced fields. These rocks have been hand removed from all these open areas where they're planting rosemary, lavender, and olive groves. It's amazing how much hand labor was involved. On our way into the town of Hvar, on the island of Hvar, Hvar, we stopped at a Spanish fortification above the town so we could take some pictures and take a good look at the sea beyond. Happily, we had very nice weather here. Walking along the promenade along the bay, looking for a great place to have dinner. Happily, we found one, a restaurant called Garfel. Didn't have fish, but we did have a superb Chateaubriand and a wonderful red wine. We're on the top terrace of our Amphora Beach Resort Hotel, looking over the edge at the little swimming cove down below, and there's our beautiful pool area. Unfortunately, the pool water was way too cold to swim in, unlike the ocean, which was cool, but at least tolerable.
It's fascinating. These are the little narrow streets of Hvar. Boy, they are tight. It's very cute in here. Very nice. Sue's about to take a dip in the Adriatic. She's going to take her shoes off. Wet. She got her foot wet. Very good.
We located Dalmatino, one of our favorite restaurants on the trip, in one of the narrow alleys and had an app here, along with several amuse-bouche.
It's a picture of Sue taking a picture of our calamari and beautiful French fries. Wonderful presentations here. Wonderful. Very nice wait person. We're on the bay. Sue's happy. We're about to have a bottle of homemade wine, some scampi or shrimp grilled, and we're having a great time here in Hvar. It's beautiful down here. We have grilled shrimp, French fries, homemade wine, and whatever. Passing down the middle of the island of Hvar right now. It's all cultivated. Changes from grapes to olive groves and back and forth. That's about it.
We're on board another ferry that takes about 35 minutes to get back to the mainland, where we'll disembark and do the short drive down to Dubrovnik. Along the way, we stopped at another series of picturesque lakes. There seems to be a lot of water in some places and very little in others here. That's a form of Alps in the background. Here we're at the delta at the base of a river that flows through Bosnia-Herzegovina. Incredibly fertile. It's absolutely chock-a-block with fruit trees, vegetable groves, and that type of vegetation.